Day 2, self-isolation. I feel like Big Brother has called me to the diary room. But then again, Big Brother is probably Orwell's nightmare of the kind of society that we would one day live in. Well, it's a nightmare, and it's coming increasingly true. You know, he didn't really write it as a manual to be used by people to, introduce the fascist state. But I think a lot of those people who've read the book are now ensuring that it is being put into practice. Day 2, self-isolation. If you've been watching any ads and whatever on Facebook, there's a load of stuff out there for self-isolation. Well, not self-isolation, self-protection masks. Look at that. I had plans to turn this into some kind of face shield, for want of a better word. I was going to do it, but I reconsidered the plans. I might make it into something else now, because the plans were based on seeing hats, as I'm sure you've already seen. The hat kind of wide brim goes around there. There's a little not perspex, but there's a clear plastic visor. The idea quite clearly is that when people give it the big 1, 2, 3 issue coronavirus, yeah, then their coronavirus, after every time I sneeze now, it's automatic. Got to clear my throat after that. But every time I sneeze now, I say coronavirus. I was actually outside walking along before self-isolation and sneezed and immediately just said it. It's a reaction now. Achoo! Coronavirus. Yep. Well, the idea, obviously, of the kind of masks and whatever they'd had under these hats was to stop the droplets getting over you. And as long as you washed your hands and you kept the stuff clear, well, you cleaned the thing properly and whatever, you should be fine. Yep. Well, a much easier method exists. Well, obviously, first try not to go out if you're in the older high-risk category. Just to remind you again, if you're in high risk, anyone who gets the old routine flu jab, 16 weeks for us babies. 16 weeks self-isolating. So, thought to myself, well, social distancing is a better one, isn't it? Yeah. Try and stand at least 6 feet away. Let's get an idea. I'll come right up to the screen. We'll put about 2 paces away, right? So 1 pace backwards, 2 paces backwards, about there. Now, obviously, this lens is going to make things look different. Now, I'm going to come to within a distance of the screen where most British people probably like to stand in queues. Yeah? And then I'm going to tell you a story that kind of indicates the level of mentality people have got to in public. Yeah, it indicates probably some of their aggression and their impatience, but it is kind of directly related to the coronavirus. You see, one of the things I read in the paper today is that in protecting all of us in the special vulnerable groups, and that includes your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, many people in Great Yarmouth who are over 70. That includes them. But it also includes people who may have special educational needs. And in this queue in the post office, in Galston, in fact, I was about 2 persons behind a very nice person who obviously was struggling very seriously to understand the person behind the counter's instructions about a form she had to complete. I think we could all hear that the person was saying to her, actually, you've kind of come to the wrong place. You need to go here and take the form there, and obviously perhaps you can get someone there to help you fill it out. Yeah? Queue all shuffled forwards. almost so that you could feel that breath on the back of your neck. And from somewhere about maybe 3 places backing the queue, you hear this wonderful British voice. And I can't do the accent, but it was actually saying deliberately out loud so that everyone could start backslapping with each other. Yeah, male voice saying, "This is a joke, isn't it? We're being filmed, aren't we? We're being filmed, and they haven't got enough staff on, and I'm in a hurry. I've got another appointment. I've got to go to the doctor's. Hey, this is a joke, isn't it?" Immediately in front of him was some other old boy that he was trying to kind of just rope in on this and say, basically, "Get out the way. I'm in a hurry. Yeah, I'm in a hurry. Get out the way. Yeah, we haven't got time for you. I haven't got time for you. You're wasting my time. I'll miss my medical appointment because of you. I haven't got time for you. Get out the way." Just imagine, in British society, where that kind of attitude even shows itself on the roads, where people are trying to push you out the way in their cars and driving 2.5 inches behind your bumper at 60 miles an hour, it's, come on, I'm in a hurry. Yeah, same kind of mentality that leads to them buying up all the bloody toilet rolls. Same kind of selfish arsewipe mentality that leads to mask rage incidents. Mask rage, that's what I want to tell you about. Apparently, Chinese students are actually now deciding it's probably better to go back and be in China than to study here, because very rightly, the Chinese cultural thing to do is to put masks on so that you don't infect other people with your germs. Well, Chinese PhD student and whatever, studying, I think might have been in Sheffield or something, actually has had him and his friend, people go by in a car, wind the window down, slow right down and go, "Virus!" sneeze at them. What are we coming to as a society? What sick, selfish people we are. Racism, of course. But anyway, beyond that, another important thing to remember, right? We have 3 cases, as of yesterday when I last heard, in Great Yarmouth, James Paget Hospital. Sadly, one of them, I believe, is a newborn. Let's just do some basic maths here since the Tory cuts. I think, for those of us in vulnerable groups especially, because we're the most likely to die if we catch it, I think we have something like 4,000 available NHS ICU beds. As I've said before, my son is an ICU nurse. You can already tell the toll on him and others he works with in the NHS hospital where he is. He's exhausted. He's absolutely exhausted. Others are going to be the same. Yeah. So another one you need to remember is, no matter what Lewis has said is being done for the NHS and everything, certain doctors working in hospitals they're having to massively reorganise to deal with this are actually saying they're being told they don't need full gown, full personal protective equipment, hood, face mask and goggles, how they should glove up and everything to deal with one of these people that's suspected of having the virus. No, they don't need that, they're being told. Treat it as a case, potentially, of the seasonal flu. Yeah? So this guy said he's been told just to wear, the standard small apron, face mask, scrubs, and just sort of gloves, really, that just come up to his wrist. Yeah, obviously the man is scared to death, not only that he will catch the virus, but any contact with his patients that comes onto his scrubs, yeah, he'll then spread that to the next patient he has to deal with. We're running out of supplies. We don't have enough doctors and nurses. The NHS is going to be overwhelmed. Now, one to end on, just to show the true attitude to this crisis, from your Etonian buffoon, blonde-haired, bozo, racist, arsewipe bastard. You've probably guessed I'm talking about Boris Johnson. When on a conference call with his great plans to have everyone producing ventilators to CEOs, obviously the plans harking back to the days of when Rolls-Royce were producing Merlin engines for Spitfires and on a war footing rather than luxury cars, and Singer sewing machines were turning out Tommy guns for the British Tommy to use to defeat the Nazis. Yeah, so very much on that line. Dear old Bozo the racist clown is meant to have said the ventilator project, let's call it Project Last Gasp. Obviously Downing Street have denied or just refused to comment that that was ever said. Yeah, you can source that online, okay? That's what this Etonian toff thinks. He thinks it's funny. Remember, we're at the bottom of the queue. Yeah, we're the poorest, we're the sickest, we're the most disabled. Those of us who are now self-isolating, we're at the very bottom. We're in the poorest section of society. Yeah, far from being protected. We're going to be the first to die. Johnson knows it. He could do more. Much more could be done. But he won't, because obviously getting rid of the poor, the sick, the disabled, the mentally ill, the people who are learning disabled and whatever, it's going to be a tremendous benefit to him. It's going to be a nice eugenic bit of cleansing of society. And of course, only the strongest and the fittest will survive. And together, they will be making Britain great again. So think about that as I'm in self-isolation, and think about that when people you know, like me, go into self-isolation. Bye.